Hello, this is Madhunigma, and today we are going to continue with our brand new section that is respiratory medicine. Okay, so this is our next topic that is respiratory tract infections. I am going to follow Davidson book, okay, since most of our PGs and students as well as residents they follow Davidson for the medicine. Okay, so I am going to make it easy and accessible to all of you so that you could easily understand what does Robertson say and how to understand it properly. Okay, so this is my first topic that is respiratory tract infections. Okay, we are going to study this topic. Why? It's because it's very important with respect to the to understanding the clinical point of view. Sometimes when we are in our clinical practice or whenever we are in hospitals, then we often might hear sometimes our HOs and PGs saying that there are patient might have a respiratory tract infection. This is a case of upper respiratory tract infection. This is a case of lower respiratory tract infection. How this is how we will manage it. Treatment regimes are different for both of them. So sometimes we get confused as a student that what exactly is a upper respiratory tract infection, lower RTI, and upper RTI. Okay, what exactly is this? So I am going to cover this topic, this confusion, and I'm going to explain it clearly so that you could easily understand whenever we someone mentions that this is a case of upper respiratory tract infection and this is the case of lower RTI. Okay, so this is we are going to discuss the anatomy of respiratory tract. Respiratory tract is divided into two main parts. We divided into two main parts: upper respiratory tract and lower respiratory tract. Okay, so upper respiratory tract includes all the structures above the vocal cord. So all those structures which are above the vocal cord, we include them in the upper respiratory tract. That means all these structures they make up the upper respiratory tract. What structures are included? First of all, nose, and then nasal cavity, sinuses. Even our sinuses like maxillary sinus, frontal sinus, ethmoidal sinus, all those sinuses are included in upper respiratory tract. And then finally pharynx and larynx. Okay, so these structures up to the larynx, they all are included in the upper respiratory tract. So they all come together and make a upper respiratory tract. Finally, we have got another portion that is lower respiratory tract. Now lower respiratory tract includes those structures which are below the vocal cords, like trachea, and then bronchi, finally bronchioles, alveoli, and interstitium. That is all those structures which make up the lung. They are basically lower respiratory tract. So we divided respiratory tract according to the anatomy into two portions: upper respiratory tract and lower respiratory tract. Upper respiratory tract include these structures and lower include these. So from trachea downwards towards the alveoli, all those structures will make up the lower respiratory tract. And from above trachea, above the vocal cord, all those structures from nose up to the larynx, they all are included in the upper respiratory tract. Now we are going to discuss the functions of respiratory. Since why we have divided into two portions at upper and lower part? Why? That's because the both parts perform different functions. Like the upper respiratory tract is responsible for humidifying the air, warmth of the air, filter particles, and phonation. Since larynx is involved, so phonation is also part of it. So these are the functions of upper respiratory tract. In fact, upper respiratory tract. So any infection, any disease that affects the upper respiratory tract, that means it will affect all these functions. So we will get symptoms related to these functions. Okay, and in lower respiratory tract, its function is mainly air conduction from trachea up to the alveoli, and then finally in alveoli we get the gas exchange. So the function of a lower respiratory tract is air conduction and gas exchange. And if there is some sort of disease or infection that affects the lower respiratory tract or the lung portion, then we will get the symptoms that might affect the air conduction and gas exchange. Okay, then ventilation diffusion ratio might get disturbed. So these two functions are performed by these two different portions of the respiratory tract. So these are the respiratory tract infections. So this is what we often hear in our clinical practice, that upper RTI and lower RTI. These are the upper RTIs. Upper RTIs include common cold, sinusitis. Common cold will involve nose. As I already mentioned, nose is a part of upper respiratory tract. So common cold affects upper respiratory tract. Sinusitis, that is the inflammation of sinuses. Pharyngitis is the inflammation of pharynx. And laryngitis is the inflammation of larynx. Epiglottitis, since it is a flap that covers the larynx, so that means it lies above the larynx. So of course it is included in the upper respiratory tract. So the infection or inflammation of epiglottis that is included, we will label it as upper respiratory tract infection. And finally, tonsillitis. Tonsillitis is the inflammation of tonsils, and tonsils are found in the larynx. In the pharynx, sorry, in the pharynx. So all these diseases are upper respiratory tract infection. That means these diseases affect the upper respiratory tract structures, while bronchitis, bronchiolitis, pneumonia, bronchiectasis, TB, obstructive and restrictive lung diseases, all of these diseases are those which affect the lower respiratory tract, that is bronchi, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli. Like bronchitis is the inflammation of bronchi, bronchiolitis is the inflammation of bronchioles, pneumonia affects alveoli. So if someone asks you what is pneumonia, either pneumonia is upper respiratory tract infection or lower respiratory tract infection, then your answer should be that it is a lower RTI. Why? Because it affects alveoli, and alveoli are included in lower respiratory tracts. Okay, bronchiectasis also affects alveoli and as well as interstitium. Okay, because here we get fibrosis. Okay, so fibrosis is basically the it involves a lung parenchyma. Okay, so that's why it is also a lower respiratory tract infection. TB also affects the lungs, basically it's parenchyma. So of course this is also lower respiratory tract infection, and all those obstructive and restrictive lung diseases, they are part of a lower respiratory tract infection. So you will encounter these infections in your clinical practice. Some these are upper respiratory tract infections and these are lower respiratory tract infection. And how will we manage these conditions? That is completely different. Okay, and that even in their clinical symptoms are different. So these are the clinical presentation of upper respiratory tract infection. So when patient comes to you, they present with a specific complaint, and now we get to decide, that what exactly is the structure involved. Like a patient might say he is having a post-nasal drapery, he's having nasal congestion. Then we have to analyze what is structure is involved in this scenario. So the clinical presentation will tell us either this is a case of a upper RTI or this is a case of lower RTI. So these are the clinical presentation of upper RTIs, and this is very much important. Okay, nasal symptoms. So since nose is involved in upper respiratory tract, so nasal symptoms will tell us about that this is a case of upper RTI. It is very common in upper RTI nasal symptoms. Patients may have runny nose, which is also called rhinorrhea, nasal congestion, okay, sneezing, and post nasal drip. All of these nasal symptoms, they are basically upper respiratory. They are the clues for upper respiratory tract infection. They strongly point towards upper airway involvement. So if someone presents with these symptoms, then we must comprehend them. We must understand that this is a case of upper RTI. Sore throat. Sore throat is another one of the biggest upper RTI. Scratchy throat, painful swelling, throat irritation, mostly seen in pharyngitis, tonsillitis, viral upper respiratory tract infection. So all of these symptoms will tell us that this is a case of upper RTI. Voice changes, since larynx is also part of upper respiratory tract, so voice changes like hoarseness, weak voice, voice fatigue, all of these are also included in upper RTI infections. Okay, now next, cough. Cough occurs both in upper respiratory tract infections and lower respiratory tract. But in upper respiratory tract infections, cough is usually due to the postnasal drip and throat irritation, and it is usually mild and dry. It is not that much severe, and it is often dry, not deep, chesty, productive cough. That is the feature of lower respiratory tract infection. So in upper respiratory tract infection, even if there is cough, that would be usually mild and dry. Okay, and then we have got fever, and fever is often low grade in nature. Specifically in viral upper respiratory tract infection, and if there is any bacterial infection like in tonsillitis, pharyngitis, then we might get a high grade fever. Yeah, even in upper respiratory tract infection. Then breathing, okay, usually no major respiratory distress. Okay, this is important point. Since breathing, the portion of breathing that is alveolum, that is gaseous exchange, it occurs at the level of alveoli. So alveoli is not part of the upper respiratory tract infection. So if upper respiratory tract is involved, that means the breathing will not get compromised. So there will be no respiratory distress, no breathing problems in the upper respiratory tract infections. Patients generally are oxygenating well well and they are even breathing comfortably because alveoli are functioning properly. The problem is in the upper respiratory tract, not in the lower one. So chest exam, this is also the normal. This is very important. If we have got a patient with the complaints of nasal congestion or running nose, sneezing, as well as sore throat, and sometimes even cough, then we have to examine the chest. And if the chest is normal, that means that shows us that this is a case of upper RTI. Because in lower RTI, chest will not be normal. It will show different findings, and which I will discuss in the next few slides. Okay, but here in the upper respiratory tract, the chest will be, most of the time it will be normal. There will be no crackles, no bronchial breathing, no focal chest findings because lungs themselves are not involved. Only upper portion of the respiratory tract is involved. Okay, stridor, this is very important because if there is upper airway obstruction, then we get stridor. What exactly is stridor? It is a harsh inspiratory sound. It is a harsh inspiratory sound, and this is a specific feature of upper respiratory tract infection like CROP, epiglottitis, and tracheitis. Now, this is an important point. We mentioned that earlier that trachea is included in the lower respiratory tract, right? But here we say that tracheitis produces stridor. So we have got different types of classification. The one I already told you, that is basically anatomical classification. Trachea, yes, it is true that from trachea lower respiratory tract begins, but tracheitis, the inflammation of trachea, sometimes it produces upper respiratory tract clinical manifestations. The manifestations of upper respiratory tract, like stridor. Stridor is a manifestation of upper respiratory tract obstruction. So sometimes this might confuse someone that it is a part of lower respiratory tract, but it is producing upper respiratory tract obstructions or clinical manifestations. So it's fine. It's not that much important. But yeah, you must remember that tracheitis is because it lays at the border, right? The upper and lower. So upper tracheal inflammation can produce a stridor, harsh inspiratory sound. And stridor is specifically a feature of upper respiratory tract, upper airway obstruction. Okay. Next, we have got clinical presentations of lower RTIs. Lower RTI means lower respiratory tract infections. And how do lower respiratory tract infections present in our case, in our clinical wards? That's what we are going to discuss now. First of all, the main important feature would be cough. Like in TB, in pneumonia, in bronchiectasis, the most prominent feature would be cough, and usually it is more prominent. It is deep, chesty, persistent. Okay, so these are the features. Unlike the cough of upper respiratory tract, where it is not that much deep but persistent, it is usually mild and even dry. But here you might even get deep, chesty, persistent cough, more prominent, and even with sputum. So sputum production or productive cough is very much an important clue towards the lower RTI. Okay, and it may produce sputum could be purulent, yellow-green sputum, rust-colored sputum, foul sputum. Foul sputum is found in the lung abscess. Rust-colored sputum in the in some sort of bacterial pneumonia. Okay, yellow-green bacterial pneumonia. Okay, purulent sputum is also found in a bacterial or other pneumonia. Okay, and other infections. So all of these are basically sputum production are the points that point toward the lower respiratory tract infection, because lower airway infections generate alveolar or bronchial exudate. Okay, so once the lower airways gets involved and there is inflammation or infection of the lower airways, then we will get alveolar and bronchial exudate. So there will be pus, there will be exudate, there will be fluid in the alveoli and the bronchi, and that fluid will produce the sputum. Okay, so the cough in lower respiratory tract infection is usually productive. Okay, next we have got dyspnea. Dyspnea is the shortness of breath. That is the feeling of hypoxia, feeling of breathlessness. Why do we feel it? Because now the alveoli are involved. Okay, alveoli is the point where the gas exchange happens, and in lower respiratory tract infections, alveoli and even bronchi gets affected. So here we will get the symptoms of dyspnea, huge lower respiratory crew, because lungs are involved in gas exchange. Patient may complain, I can't catch my breath, breathlessness, chest tightness. All of these are basically symptoms of lower respiratory tract. But in case of upper respiratory tract, there will be no dyspnea, no shortness of breath, oxygenation will be good, and even oxygen saturation will be good. Okay, but in case of lower respiratory tract infection, patient might present with low oxygen saturation. Okay. So next we have got the chest pain. It is specifically pleuritic chest pain, which is a short pain that worsens on inspiration, and it suggests lung or a pleural involvement, and it is another feature of lower respiratory tract infection. Finally, in the fever is often higher in bacterial pneumonia. Pneumonia is the condition that involves alveoli. So here it would be higher with rigors and chills, specifically with rigors and chills. Okay. Tachypnea is basically the increased number of breaths per minute. Okay, so that is in case of adults, it is usually number of breaths is normal breath rate is respiratory rate is 16 to 20 beats per breaths per minute. But if it has increased to above 20, then we call it as tachypnea, and it is very important sign because it is one of the earliest serious signs, and that tells us that body is trying to compensate for the impaired oxygenation. Since oxygenation is not going on properly, alveoli are disturbed, and alveoli and oxygen and perfusion ratio is disturbed, so we will get tachypnea. Okay, hypoxia is the reduced oxygen supply seen in significant lower respiratory tract infection. Symptoms are cyanosis, confusion, restlessness. All these symptoms will suggest that yeah, we have got a case of lower respiratory tract infection. We have got an abnormal chest findings. Okay, in case of upper respiratory tract infection, you won't see any chest findings. Okay, chest will be clear, but in case of lower respiratory tract, there will be chest findings like crackles. What are crackles? These are basically fluid filled alveoli opening. When fluid filled alveoli opens, they produce a crackling sound like the sound of someone stepping on crunching leaves. Okay, dried crunching leaves. That crunching sound is called crackles. Okay, wheezing is basically due to the bronchial narrowing. So it is wheezing is the feature of lower respiratory tract infection, and stridor is the feature of upper respiratory tract infection. Okay, both are inspiratory, but inspiratory sounds, but one is involved in upper respiratory tract infection, and wheezing is basically involved in lower respiratory tract infection. Why? Because it happens due to the nerving of bronchioles and bronchi. So bronchi and bronchioles are included in lower respiratory tract. Bronchial breathing, that is consolidation. Due to consolidation we get bronchial breathing. That is another finding which we will get in lower RTI. And reduced air entry, sometimes effusion, collapse, severe consolidation, all of these findings will suggest us that there is some sort of pathology of lower respiratory tract. Okay, next we have got abnormal chest x-ray. That might also suggest us that there is some sort of pathology in lower respiratory tract infection, like infiltrates, consolidation, hyperinflammation, and cavities. All of these findings, so the chest x-ray will tell us that yes, lower respiratory tract is involved, lungs are involved basically, but not the upper respiratory tract. These are the clinical red flags for lower respiratory tract infections. If the patient has tachypnea, increased respiratory rate, low oxygen saturation, when we check this oxygen saturation of a patient, if it is less than the normal for their age and height and their age, so that should tell us that this is some sort of a emergency case. Okay, and then we have got crackles, productive cough. Okay, focal chest findings like crackles, are even wheezing, and sometimes bronchial breathing. These focal chest findings and even reduced air entry, all of these suggest that there is some sort of problem with the lower respiratory tract. And then respiratory distress. Okay, these are the clinical red flags that will suggest us that the case is not of upper respiratory tract. The lower respiratory tract or lungs have been involved in this case. Okay, pediatric difference. There is some difference in neonates and infants. So children with lower respiratory tract infection, instead of showing the typical features of adult respiratory tract infection, they show instead the chest indrawing, grunting. This is specific sound with that the children produce, nasal flaring, and poor feeding. These are the signs which tell us that the patient is having lower respiratory tract infection. Okay, and so since a child can say that I can't breathe, even an infant can say. So we have to look for the signs to understand whether his upper respiratory tract is involved or his lower respiratory tract is involved. So these signs, chest drying, grunting, nasal flaring, and poor feeding, these will tell us that the patient, that the child or neonate or even infant is having lower respiratory tract infection. Okay, and this is a case of emergency. So we will immediately admit the patient. Okay, and then elderly, there is some difference in elderly patients, okay, that they might present with confusion, falls, or lethargy instead of the typical presentations. And this also tells us that there is some sort of decreased oxygen saturation, okay, due to the confusion that might be due to the decreased oxygen saturation or decreased perfusion to the blood to the brain. So that typically happens in elderly patients. So this is an easy memory trick, that is upper respiratory tract infection is basically the infection of airway above the lungs. So lungs are spared in upper respiratory tract infection. Anything, all those structures which are above the lungs from nose up to the up till the trachea or up till the larynx, they when they get involved, then we call it as upper respiratory tract infection. Mostly the infections of the nose and throat, they are included in upper respiratory. And lower respiratory infection means that now the lungs are involved in this infection, and they mostly involve bronchi and alveoli. So once bronchi and alveoli gets infected, then that might become a lower respiratory. And sometimes the upper respiratory tract infection could lead to or could become lower respiratory tract infection, like common cold or influenza infections that might proceed to become pneumonia, because it spreads and involves the lungs. So it might stay at the upper respiratory tract, or it might come down to the lungs. And also this is the difference between upper respiratory tract infection and lower. So when patient comes to us with these symptoms, that there is nasal discharge, there is post nasal discharge, or there is nasal congestion, any sore throat, fever, low grade fever, these all of these symptoms will suggest us that there is upper respiratory tract infection involved. It could be pharyngitis, it could be tracheitis, or even it could be some sort of infections like laryngitis, okay, and some sort of the nasal involvement. Okay, so that is basically basically clue towards upper respiratory tract. But if the patient is dyspneic, shortness of breath, there is some sort of crackles on the chest, and these the cough, sputum production, all of these symptoms will point us towards the lower respiratory tract infection, and then we need to investigate it properly and examine it properly, so that we could make a diagnosis that which condition could involve it. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Okay, if you have got any questions, you can comment below in the comment section. Thank you very much.